Gail Quick here with Easter Egg Productions. This is our series going into 3D modeling and Blender specifically. It's an open source program, easy for everybody to get, so that's why I focus on it. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to make a chair, which sounds dumb. Like why wouldn't you want to make a giant battleship or something? And obviously the answer to that is because you always need simple things wherever you go, and starting simple is the best way to start. And actually my artist drew a picture of a quick chair here. So got a seat, a back, 4 legs, very simple. You notice there is a little bit of an arch there, and we're going to try to capture that as well. There's also an arch here in the front legs. Doesn't look like they're captured in the back. And there's also a little bit of a relationship between the legs here. So this video is probably going to be a little bit longer. It's all done in one take, and we're going to go through and get a chair made. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out by making a cube prefab, because this is the most chair-like prefab we have. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to switch from object mode into edit mode. We do that by hitting tab or by going down here and hitting edit mode. Now in this mode we can actually select the individual vertices as if they're their own objects. Now when we're out of edit mode we can only select the whole object and move it around, but when we're in here we can select individual vertices and move them around. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go down here at the bottom, and there's vertice. There's also edge mode, where you select individual edges and move them, which can be useful for all kinds of things. And there's also face mode. And I'm going to select the top face here, and I'm going to go down, hit shift, and then select the bottom face. And we're going to smush it down so that it looks more like the flat chair that we're going for. So the way we're going to do that, instead of, because we got 2 things selected, so if we try and grab and move them down, it's not going to work. So what we're going to do is we're going to scale them down, but in just one axis, the z-axis. So we're going to make it smaller. Looks like, that's good. And yeah, so we should be good together. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go through our tools. There's all kinds of tools here that we're going to. Right now, what we're going to do is we're going to give ourselves a little bit more faces and stuff to work with. So we're going to use what's called loop, cut, and slide. And the shortcut here, if you just hover over anything in here, it should show you the shortcut is Control R. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to hit Control R. Where did it go? Oop. What did I do? All right. Yeah, so we're going to hit Control R, and you'll see there's a purplish line that shows up there, and we move our mouse to determine which direction we want it to be in. And we also move the mouse wheel to determine how many cuts we want. Now we can pretty much go as high as we want, but to start off here, I think we're only going to need 2. And then once you do that, you can also place them, or just then left-click to commit to where you've placed it, or just right-click and it'll place itself equidistant, so you have 3 even chunks. Now we're going to do the same thing. That was Control R, if I recall, and then do another 2 there, so that we have nice little 9 squares here. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to select the edges here all the way around. And this will be the back of our chair. So what we're going to want to do is just move it. And you see we're getting kind of weird stuff, so we want to constrain our movement there to one axis. That'll be the y-axis. We'll probably change this in the future, but this will be our back at the moment. Or not. Like any type of art, this is kind of the thing you have to figure out as you go. You can come in with a plan, but like any plan, the first casualty of war is the plan. So I'll move this to the side as well. And actually, if we want to, what we can do is get those all selected. Yeah, should be able to do this. Like I said, first casualty is the plan. And to deselect something while it's, to remove something from your list of selections, you just shift and then right-click on it again. So we're going to get 2 loops here. Let's see if this works. We're going to instead scale it, because they're around the center point, they're equidistant from it, and yeah, that looks like That looks pretty cool. So, but then we just constrain it to one thing. There. So actually what I think we're going to do is we're going to start off with the legs instead of starting with the back. So I'm going to go right about here, and I'm going to go back to our picture. And notice there was kind of a relationship there. And the legs, they don't occupy a huge amount there, so we're just going to start off by, I think this, let's just make that a little bit bigger, or smaller. I think that'll be good for the legs. And then we're going to do the same thing with these edges and kind of open that up to be the beginnings of our legs. And I'll show you something kind of cool, how we're going to get all our legs done at the same time. Right, so let's have this be the front, so the arrow will be the front. That'll be our reference for, so that when we're making things we don't get lost. So I'll do the same thing, scale, and make a fancy looking weird thing here. Have a little bit of fun. Right, and then constrain X, and open it up, and what we're going to do is we're going to look for these four corners here. We're going to move that until it looks like they're about the size that we want for our legs. Now this looks good to me here. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch from the edge mode to the face mode again. And on the bottom, I'm going to select these four faces. Now there's a button, or not a button, a tool here, which is extrude, an extrude region. From I believe the command is just E. Now let's check that out. Press E. There you go. You have our four legs there. Looks like it could be a nightstand at the moment. Pretty good. Obviously, we're going to need to do a little bit. Remember, the front of our chair came out this way. So let's go back to our art and check to see. Now you notice the back legs sweep out a little bit more, which makes sense. People generally, when they sit in a chair, right? So I guess a little aside about chair technology, your legs come out to the front. So when you're in a chair, you're actually in something that has 6 legs. There's 4 underneath your butt, and then 2 in the front. But your legs out to the front will support you if you're leaning forward. If you're leaning out back, they're not. So legs in the back of a chair need to kick out more, which is why they do that. Yeah, there's nuance and physics behind everything. Isn't it wonderful? Yeah, there's a better picture of that. It looks like that's actually the same angle, or a little, pretty close to, which one is it? They do look like they're the same size too. Right, so we have our little ratio kind of there, and I think we captured that pretty well. So what we're going to do is we're just going to select our front legs and just kind of grab them, constrain them. Wrong one. Oh god. Just kick them out just a little bit. Now they don't look very wooden, and they might be a little bit too thick, but we'll be able to change that later. So I think we can change it right now if we let's try grabbing these. Yeah. So we'll be able to move that. We could probably grab these loops as well and change all of that. Alright, so we kicked out our front legs just a tiny bit. Let's do the same thing with our back legs. So we're going to grab them, constrain them to the axis that we want, and kind of kick them out a little bit. Oop. So grab, and that was the x-axis. Kick them out just a little bit. Yeah. It looks like the chair here is perfectly flat. Yeah, so that's what we're going to be doing with our image here. Now, if you want to make a more natural looking chair, generally the seats kind of lean back down towards so that the front is up a little bit. But that's not what we're going to be doing right here. We're going to be being faithful to our artist here, make a decent chair that we can use in any one of our future projects. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to do from the top, and we're going to make these 2 posts that come out. And we're going to do that the same way, where you select the ones you want. Remember to shift, select, make sure nothing else is selected so you don't accidentally extrude a kind of weird section there. And then we're going to E, and then you see it automatically constrained us to the up, or the Z axis for some reason. And then we're just going to leave those there. We don't need to worry about them at all at the moment. We can come back to them. They're already made. So you see here, there's kind of a ratio here. It looks like the top bit here is about 2/3 of the, what do you call it? Sorry, the back. Looks like the top is the connecting arch area. I don't know what that's called. Is about 1/3 of the total length of the back of the chair. There you go. So, and the legs there. So it looks like they're about as long Yeah, they're just a little bit longer than legs, so we'll leave these about just a little bit shorter. Then we're also going to extrude up again, one more time. Yeah, you notice it's perfectly flat at the moment, and hopefully we'll be able to fix that later. But what we're going to do now is we're going to select these internal ones, and then we're going to delete the faces off of them. Now you notice it looks a little bit like an empty box. And if you go back, notice that when I hit delete, there's a bunch more options here that didn't show up the last time we pressed delete, and that's because we're in edit mode, and a lot of what Blender does is very contextual. So we're going to hit delete, and we can delete the faces, or dissolve them, all that fancy stuff. Delete the faces, and you notice it looks like an empty box. And now what we're going to do is we're going to select our edges here. Actually, we're going to move our camera up here so we can see what we're doing better. Now, I'm not sure exactly how this will work, but if you want to make a face, press F. Alright, that did not work. So what we're going to do is we're going to select across here, and then we're going to press F to make a face. And that joins these faces. And do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, face, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, face, and we have our simple chair. Now to make this fancier, or more in line with the picture shown, we're going to figure out how we can lean this back. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm a master of Blender or anything, really, but we can figure out how to move this back. So what we're going to do is we're going to change it to Wireframe Mode, which will let us see through things, and then we're going to use what's called Box Select. And that's going to be just press B, and then hold down and select something. Very simple. I'm sure you've used that kind of thing before. And then we're actually going to grab and constrain it, the x-axis, until we get the angle that we want there. And it looks like a good angle there between the leg and the back. And then we're going to rotate our back there. Not too much. What am I doing? A little bit, so that it lines up. Now, I'm sure there's some way that you could have done that so that it would all be perfect, but visually it looks good to me. Let's get out of wireframe, see how it looks in solid mode. Should probably add in like a camera or something. Yeah. So looks okay. Looks pretty chair-tacular. See, is there anything else? So you got the arch there, and there was the arch in the front down there, which we will be able to add, no problem. So as for the arch back here, let's see if our tool here can help us out, the loop, cut, and slide. And then we're just going to select the internal face, so switch to face mode, and then move this up a little bit. And actually, let's give it a little bit of an arch at the top as well, see how that looks. Constrain it. Yeah. Looks alright, but you notice it went straight up, and since we have an angle here, straight up also didn't move it out, so it's not in line with everything. So this is actually a good chance for us to kind of give it that something that we didn't really see here, but give it a little bit of a bow, because that's what chairs have. So let's grab it, move back like that. Not so much, just a little bit. Yeah. Let's kind of take the top and move it down a little bit, just so that it's not so exaggerated, so it's more visible on the bottom, but it's still got that bow there. And then in the bottom here, what we're going to do, let's see. Let's give ourselves another loop cut and slide. Yeah. So then we'll do the same thing. We're just going to grab these edges here. Actually, let's put that on the back as well. I'm going to grab them, move them down a little bit. Oh, nope, wrong one. Down a little bit. Down a little bit. Oh, okay, I see what's happening here. Grab these, but these other edges here are also connected to that. We don't want that to happen, so what we're going to do is figure out how to solve the problem. Grab, nope, still kind of weird looking. Right. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to select these faces, grab, move it down. No, because they're all connected. So we need like a secondary thing. Let's try extruding. Yeah. There you go. So this will be a little bit odd. We're going to shrink that in right now really quick. So what we're going to do is we're going to loop cut. Ah, crap. Right, so we're going to loop cut, push Control R, slide it all the way up to the top so it's about equal. Then do the same thing, loop cut, slide it up to the top. Then we're going to go back to faces, delete this face, delete this face, delete the internal face as well. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to link that together. We're going to be left with triangles here, which are not quads, but I think for what we're going for, we'll be fine. Actually, I think we might be able just to see if we can figure that out. Actually, yeah. Alright, so what we're going to do, we're going to delete all these, leaving only that central bit there. So really we only needed to extrude that central bit and then delete its side faces. But, you know, as I said, first casualty is the plan. Now what we're going to do, oh, it's the inside there. It's looking a little weird. So we're going to select these, put a face there, same thing. On the other side, face, 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 and then our last four there. Face. Oops, select something in the back there. Face. Now we are free to grab these things and move them up without affecting the back of our chair. And we can do the same thing on the back if we want, but I'm not going to do that right now. Leave that as an exercise to the reader. Scale. Make these go there. Just, yeah, scale, make it kind of straight-ish. We also grab these, move them up. Oh, I suppose you should grab these, make sure it's all equal. Grab and move them up. And we've got our little thing. It's giving us weird bow effects here. So let's try scaling it a little bit. And then moving it back. Then we'll readjust our lip here. And there you go. We have a super simple chair. Very, very simple. Alright. Well, hey, that was a super quick tutorial on Blender. I'll probably make some more in the future to go in a little bit more detail, perhaps make some more art assets, or possibly even embellish this chair, show you how to texture it, stuff like that. Until then, I'm Caleb Quick. Thanks for watching, and don't die.